Okay, fundamentals of art. So, most of you are to the point where you are finished with your line drawing of the flowers. So here you can see mine with the addition of 4 areas of interest. So all you're going to need is something circular to trace. I use this cup right here. And I want you to look at your design, and I want you to just highlight 4 areas. All right. Now, we're going to be talking about color. Color can be extremely complex. So for today, you are only going to need 3 colors: red, yellow, and blue. Now, I will provide a student guide for you to each have that you can keep in your sketchbook. And I really recommend you keep it in your sketchbook because as we start to do more things, it's going to become more useful. Now, the white colored pencil is here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to help us move our colored pencil around a little bit. Okay? So, we're going to be talking about color. So, in each box, or each circle, you are going to color in, and when I say color in, I mean everything in that box, in that circle, gets colored in. Now, you are allowed some abstraction, meaning we're not going to necessarily work off of the exact colors that you chose. So what we are going to be doing is a circle that highlights the primary colors, a circle that highlights the secondary colors, a circle that highlights an analogous color scheme, and then a circle that highlights a complementary color scheme, all of which can be found in the student guide. Now, if you haven't guessed it, the 3 primary colors are yellow, blue, and red. And in theory, all of these colors combined can make the secondary colors. All right. So I'm going to pick one area, and it's going to be this area right here, because I want to talk to you a little bit about the technique for colored pencils. All right. So we're going to be doing more of a layered effect. All right. So when I talk about coloring in and making it high quality and saturated, that means I want to see color. So for me, I'm going to just pick an area. So this flower is going to be yellow. So I'm going to begin by just simply coloring in lightly. The time to press hard is going to come, but I'm a firm believer that building up layers is your best friend. Sometimes when I color, I will use a strict back and forth pattern. Other times I will crisscross my lines. Now, all we're trying to do is get the pigment from the pencil into the pores of the paper, but we don't want to completely indent the paper, because if I happen to make a mistake at this point and I'm pressing too hard, well, then getting rid of that mistake is going to be very difficult. Now, you can color over your marker lines. That's fine. That's why we did the final in marker. Now, if you haven't already done so, go over your marker drawing with an eraser. Get rid of all the pencil lines that you might have used as a guide drawing. So as I march my way through this flower petal, I'm going to continue to fill in the entire thing. All right. I'm going to stop there because I want you to see how it looks when I place the blue next to it. And we are talking nice and saturated. So as I go, I'm going to press a little bit harder. You can kind of see me going over myself once I get the whole shape filled in. I might change direction and I add a little bit of pressure on the colored pencil. So you can see not very saturated, and as I add a little pressure, what will happen is the material, which is basically powdered pigment and a binder, is going to begin to smooth out as I go over top of it. So I really don't need to press hard. I just need to add layers. And you will actually feel the material. Sort of, your pencil will go from being getting a little bit of feedback from the paper to now sliding on top of the pigment, and I can continue to add. And you can see that's a really nice saturated blue. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the red. All right. Now, I don't mean to rush through this, but I want to talk to you about the secondary colors. So the secondary colors are green, orange, and purple. And they are a combination of these colors here. So for instance, yellow and red make orange. Yellow and blue make green. Blue and red make purple. So here's where your layering comes in very handy. So we're going to make purple. All right. When I mix colored pencils, I tend to always start with the lightest color of the two. So if we're trying to make purple, I'm going to start with red. And I am going to just add a very light coating of red pigment. So don't press hard. I'm just allowing my pencil to glide over the paper, and I'm just making sure that I'm filling in all of these little nooks and crannies. Now it's time for the blue. Obviously, you would fill in everything, but I'm going to go slow because I want to take advantage of your eye looking through the top layer of purple to the bottom layer of red. Excuse me, you're looking through the blue at the red. And what you're picking up is going to be a purple color. So it is going to simply be a matter of adding layers. And I would do the same technique for green. I would do the same technique for orange. I'm going to go back over it with the red. So you can make a warmer purple. And you're going to start to notice that my saturation kicks up because by this point now, I've got some of the pigment on the paper. And if you haven't figured it out yet, my last layer is going to be the blue. And this is the layer that I can add just a little bit more stiff pressure. So I'm pressing a little bit hard. And it's okay to see a little bit of the red through. And yes, we do have purple colored pencils. No, I don't want you to use them. That's purple. But now what about green? So yellow and blue make green. So I'm just going to go in here. So I'm going to start with a little bit of yellow. And then I'm going to come back over top with a little bit of blue. Again, I'm not pressing very hard. Now what you're going to find out is blue is a fairly dominant color. It's in terms of potency, when you line it up next to yellow, the blue can overpower. This is where I like to go across myself. If we were shading this, it would be called cross hatching. And then I'm going to go over this again with the yellow. Now I'm going to put some firmer pressure. And I do get a nice little green color. Is it a perfect green color? No, it's not. So don't freak out if yours doesn't get super duper green. And then last but not least, I'm going to do orange. And I'll do orange over here. Now, keep in mind, you're going to fill in this entire circle. I want to make this video just to kind of show you the technique of how you would layer colors because you're going to need to do it. All right. Now, after this, when we get to the complementary colors, well, those are colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel, which you'll have an example of. So you'll be using red and green, blue and orange, purple and yellow. And then analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So they have to touch. So if you're looking at the color wheel in your packet, it could be yellow, yellow-green, green, and blue-green. So again, you're going to need to be able to mix your colors. Now, the thing about analogous colors is they tell you exactly what colors to mix, like red, violet. Well, you would make violet, and then you would add a little more red to it. Pretty simple, all right? But I want you guys to practice that. So we're going to make orange, all right? So again, I'm going to come in with my yellow, color in my shape, and then I'm going to come over top of it with red. And again, not pressing hard. I'm letting the pencil do the work for me. All my hand is doing is essentially moving it back and forth. And I'm kind of letting gravity take its place. But now I'm going to put a little bit more muscle into it. I'm going to add my yellow on top. I mean, you can see it smooths out. Now, where your white colored pencil can come in is like a blending tool. Now, we do have pencils that we will use for blending called a colorless blender, so it won't affect the color. But you can add a little bit of white, and you'll see it kind of chills the color out, but it really smooths it out. And I'm going to stop right there. You can actually see a sheen from it. So, when you are done, you're going to have each of these completely filled with a specific color scheme. So, when you get your color student guide, take a look at the last page because it's going to have the directions on how to complete this. On this Knox will have some lids that you can trace. I traced mine in marker. I just cut the pencil right out of it. And make sure your name is on the back of this when they are done. And I mean every circle filled in completely. So you'll see a final version of mine because I'm going to work on this a little bit. But that should be good enough to get you started. And I really look forward to seeing this because I love color. And hopefully you haven't really worked with colored pencils in this way. But you're going to find that there are only blue, yellow, and red pencils out. So have fun, happy coloring, and I'll see you in class.